morning, everybody. I'm so glad that you all joined me today. We're just going to get started, and we're going to start on our backs today. We're just going to close our eyes. We can bring our knees into our chest, or we can just place those feet on the floor and just breathe in and out. Feel that breath coming in through our nose, all the way down. We should be able to feel it come all the way down into that pelvic bowl. And then exhale, and we get a little heavier. Inhaling and exhaling. Good. And now let's bring those knees into our chest. We'll roll up into our little ball. Good. We'll just open those knees nice and wide, and we'll start out with a dead bug or a happy baby. So holding the outsides of our feet, knees are nice and wide, and we're going to press that tail down into our mats and just let those arms be heavy and encourage those knees to come down toward the ground. Big breaths into our bellies. We should feel that press into our thighs as we breathe. And then while we're in child's pose, if it feels good, you can kind of rock side to side. We can just kind of wiggle in those hips. Kind of play around, see how it feels. And then we'll release those legs and let the feet come all the way up toward the sky. And then we'll hold behind the thighs and just barely touch and encourage the legs to come forward a little bit. Good. And then we'll bring the soles of our feet together and we'll lower them down onto the ground into a reclined bound angle. Letting gravity help those knees open up. Our shoulders are soft. Good, and then let's bring those knees together and we'll bring them back into our chest. Good, let's let go of our legs. Our arms can come out to the side. We'll inhale here and exhale. Just let those knees fall over to one side into a little twist. Breathing deeply, allowing that spine to just relax. Good. Inhale. Let's bring those knees back up to the center. And then as we exhale, we'll move them over to the other side. Good. And coming back to the center. Again, rolling up into our little ball. We can hold on to our feet or our shins, bringing our chin into our chest. Good. And then, again, relaxing those shoulders, our arms into the ground, and then keeping those knees bent just like we were. And we're just going to go side to side. So exhale, we'll bring those knees over to one side, and then inhale, we'll come up, and exhale over to the other side. Just moving with our breath so gently, nice controlled motion. Go several times to each side. Get that spine moving around. Do one more to each side. Make sure it's nice and even and balanced. Good. And we'll come back to the center. Let's lift those feet up to the sky again. Nice long legs, holding on to the thighs or behind the knees. We can even bring our chest up a little bit. Good. And then we'll just begin to rock and roll so that we can come all the way up and into our tabletop. So fingers are wide, arms are nice and long, hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath of our hips. Good. And then from here, we'll just do some cats and cows. So rounding as we exhale, lifting that spine up to the sky. And then as we inhale, we drop that tummy. Lift the heart and the tail, pressing into the ground with our fingers. Exhale, we'll round. And inhale, we arch. Just moving with our breath. Good, let's do one more cat. And one more cow. And then we'll find that neutral spine, so making sure that it's not just a relaxed spine, but we're tilting that pelvis enough so we're opening up the low back. Good. And now let's lift up the left hand nice and high. And then exhale, we're just going to thread the needle right through, placing that hand all the way through. Shoulder and head can find our mat. And now this right hand can stay on the floor where it is. You can reach out nice and long and begin to walk around toward the left. We can place it on top of that left hand, open up the shoulders. Find what works best for us right now. Good. And then we'll slowly unwind back towards tabletop. Let's give ourselves a cat and a cow. Back to that neutral spine. Let's lift up that left hand out in front of us and press the right foot back behind us for a spinal balance. Breathing nice and deep into that tummy, into our backs, into our sides. Good. And now let's reach back, find that foot with our hand. Kicking into our hand with our foot, opening up that shoulder, breathing and smiling. Good. And then releasing, find the reach. And then back to that tabletop. Let's do a cat and a cow. Good. Back to the neutral spine. Active core. Inhale. Let's lift up the right hand. And then let's thread that baby through. All the way. Reach, reach, reach that right hand before we place the shoulder down. Keeping the hips over the heel or over the knees. And as we breathe, begin to settle our way into the version of the pose that we like best today. And slowly we'll unwind, find that tabletop, and then just spinal balance. So we'll lift out that right hand, press back the left foot, reaching with the fingers, pressing with the heel behind us. And then when we're ready, we'll reach back, find the foot with that right hand. Open up the shoulder. One more big breath, kick hard into that hand. And then exhale, we release. Find that reach. And then back to our tabletop. Let's do a cat and a cow. Good. And then we'll just sink all the way back to our heels. Arms can come out in front of us into a child's pose. Just let that chest relax down toward our mat. Release on our neck, let the head hang. Feel those hips softening and sinking down in toward those heels. Good, and now let's walk our hands over to the right, really reaching that left arm across our body, opening up the left side. Good, and then let's walk our hands all the way around the other side, reaching across our body with that right hand, sinking the hips down toward those heels. Good, and then let's come back to the center. One more big breath here. And then slowly let's walk our hands backwards. So we're sitting on our heels, pulling those shoulders back, and then readjust those hips so that they're nice and level, flat in the back. We'll pull those shoulders back. We'll place our fingers or our hands on the floor behind us. Open up the chest, lift the chin, open up the heart, and then let's lift the hips. Oops, slidey. Good, and now let's lower those hips back down. Come back to our seated position right here. Give the shoulders a break, breathing into the tummy. Good, and then we'll do it again, pulling those shoulders back, lifting the heart, lengthening in the spine, and then when we're ready, let's lift up those hips. And lowering back down. Whew. And back up to seated, and we'll even just fold all the way forward, keeping the hands by our toes, and just roll up into our little ball here for rabbit pose. Good. Bring those hands out in front of us. We'll help ourselves back up to tabletop. And we'll tuck those toes underneath our heels and just kind of sit back on them. So we'll flex those feet. They've been pointed for a bit. Get the backs of the ankles, open up those arches. Good. And then we'll soften those feet again, and we'll find ourselves in a regular tabletop. And then from here, we're just going to stick one leg out. So I'm going to stick my right leg out and try and press the outside edge of that foot into our mat. And then we can sink back. We can come forward, just kind of feel how things go. Good. And now we're going to rock back, but we're going to take this left foot and bring it to the inside. So we'll find ourselves in Janu Shirshasana. So our right leg is nice and long. Left foot is into our thigh here. Nice tall spine, breathing into the belly. We're going to turn our torso over this right leg and just begin to walk ourselves down into a little fold. Lengthening on those inhales and then sinking down on the exhales. Let's do one more breath here. Lengthen. Stay for that exhale. And then at the tail end of that exhale, we'll drop the head, we'll round in the spine, and we'll help ourselves back up. Nice. Good. Now let's take that right leg and we'll just tuck it back behind. So the left leg is out in front of us now. The right leg is back behind. Hands will come forward. And we'll just slowly sink down into a fold here. And slowly we'll help ourselves back up to the top. And now we're just going to take that left hand to the floor. Right hand will come up and over, and then we're going to begin to look over to the left, and this right hip will want to follow. That's totally fine. Good. And back to the center, and then we're going to turn around to the right. It feels really awkward. But it's good for us, right? It's always good for us. All right, hands come to the floor, and we're going to come back to our tabletop. Let's do another cat, rounding in that spine, and to a cow. Good, back to the center. Nice, strong core here, and we're going to stick that left leg out. I didn't forget it. Sometimes I do, not today. I'm going to get all braggy and I'll forget the rest of it. And then we're just going to walk or rock back and forth. Pressing the outside of that foot into our mat. This one might feel a little different. Good. And now the next time we go back, we're gonna bring that right foot in and come back into Janu Shirshasana, which I'm sure is Sanskrit for legs sticky outy pose, right? So we're gonna turn our torso toward that left leg and do a little forward fold here. Walking our way down, keeping that back as straight as we can. If we need, we can always bend the leg a little bit if that's where we're at, to get that thigh and tummy to connect the way we would like it to. There's lots of different ways to do a forward fold. Let's do one more breath. Big inhale, we lengthen. Stay for that exhale. We'll sink down a little bit further. And then at the very tail end of that exhale, we'll drop the head. We'll round in the spine and inhale our way back up. We're gonna keep that right leg where it is, and we're gonna stick that left leg back behind us. And hands will be out in front. And then we'll just slowly fold our way down. This is Janu Kickasana, because the leg is kicking you right in the butt. Yeah. I'm fluent in bullshit. That's right. Couple more breaths here. Again, sinking down on those exhales. Good. And then slowly we'll help ourselves all the way back up to the top. Good. The right hand will stay on the floor over here on the right, and then the left hand reaches up and around. We begin to look over to the right, maybe even over that right shoulder. Left hip will want to follow, lengthen from the knee all the way to the fingers. And then we'll come back to the center. And then we'll go around to the left. Right hand can find that left knee or thigh. A little counter twist here. Good. And back to the center. Hands find the floor. And we'll get back into our tabletop. We can wiggle it out if we want. Just waggle those tails. And we'll do another cat and a cow. Just move that spine around. And then from here, let's soften those feet. keeping our knees over or keeping our hips over our knees. We're gonna walk those hands out in front of us, nice and far, getting the shoulders going, lengthening all the way along, and then sinking our chest down. We can even place our forehead on our mat. If we're feeling adventurous, we can try and put our chin on the mat. Good. And then slowly we'll walk ourselves backwards all the way to child's pose. Bring those knees together so we're really rounding in the spine. We can even bring those hands back behind us again if we want to give our shoulders a bit of a break. Good. And then coming on up to our tabletop. We're going to take that right arm and we're going to stick it out to the side. We're going to place the shoulder down onto the floor, but this time our palm is down. Good. And coming on back up. We'll go over to the other side. So sticking that left arm out, palm down, and we'll place that shoulder onto the mat. Good. And coming on back. Beautiful. And now let's tuck our toes a little bit, and we're going to do like a really short downward facing dog. Kind of extend those legs. We can pedal them out. And then we're just going to bring that right leg in and set ourselves up for pigeon. So the right knee will find its spot behind the right wrist, flexing the foot, pointing the toes back behind us, nice long leg behind us. We can begin to walk that buddy out behind, and then pulling that right hip back, left hip forward, so that they're nice and straight and even and level. We can stay up here on our hands, or if we would like, we can walk those hands forward a little bit, lower ourselves down onto our elbows, or even come all the way full to a fold. And then we'll help ourselves back up onto our hands if we're not already there. Pressing into those hands, let's tuck that left foot back behind us. And we'll come into that little downward facing dog again. Pedal it out, wiggle our tails, and then when we're ready, We'll set ourselves up for pigeon on the other side. So bringing that left foot forward, knee finds its spot behind its corresponding wrist, softening the foot back behind us, lengthening in that spine, pulling the right hip forward to meet the left. And as we breathe and settle in, we can find our way into the version of the pose that we feel best in today. We're on our elbows, on our hands, all the way down into a fold. And now let's help ourselves back up to our hands and tuck that right toe back behind us. Again, step back, give ourselves a bit of a wiggle. Good. And then we'll just bring our legs down to the ground and find ourselves into a comfortable seated position here. Legs are out long. Can even flap them about a bit if we're still needing some wiggle. Good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to keep this left leg nice and long. We're going to bend the right leg. We're going to keep, we can either keep the foot here on the inside or we can cross it over that left leg. We're going to hug it with our left arm, keeping everything attached from our tummy to our chest all the way along that right leg. And then our right hand will find a spot on the floor behind us. We lengthen nice and tall in that spine, and then exhale. Begin to turn to the right. Using that breath, lengthen and relax. Help deepen that twist. Do 2 more big breaths here. Lengthen in that spine, nice and tall. And then exhale, we twist just a little bit further. Millimeters is progress, right? And now let's gently unwind. And we'll do a counter twist over on this side too. So bringing our hands all the way around to the left, and we'll just kind of round in the spine. Good. And back to the center. Since we're crossed, let's just lay that right knee down, keeping it crossed over the left leg. Hands can come to the floor. I'm just going to bend that left knee, bringing it in. Good. And release. And maybe we fold forward. Good. And back up to the top. And we'll unwind and we'll go over to the other side. So right leg is nice and long. Left knee is bent. Hug that buddy all the way up into our chest. We can cross it over the right leg if we would like. Hugging it with the right hand. Keep that nice and pressed. Tall, tall, tall spine. Left hand back behind us. Lengthen and twist on those breaths. Do 2 more breaths. And we can gently unwind. Bring ourselves all the way around to the right and just bow our head, rounding in our backs. Good. And then back to the center. Just open up that knee a little bit. Keep it crossed. Hands can come to the floor. We'll bend the right knee. Good. And now let's extend. And we'll just do a little forward fold here. Good. And back to the center. We'll unwind, bend both knees. We'll roll up into our little ball and we'll rock back onto our backs. We can even give ourselves our little massage, rock back and forth. We can go side to side. Good. And now let's just bring those feet up to the sky again. Lengthen all along the backs of our legs, flexing the feet. Good. And now both hands are going to come to this right shin, hugging it tight into our body. And then the left leg will reach out long down onto our mat. Good. And now we're just going to guide that right knee all the way across to the left side. Our shoulders are soft onto the mat. We can use this left hand to just kind of help, not force, but just keep guiding that knee across. We're just laying it so that the weight of our arm is there to help. Good. And now we're going to take this right hand. We're going to bend that left foot and try and find the toes with our right hand. So now our left hand is on the knee, right hand is on the foot. And now we're going to try and bring that right shoulder back down to the mat. And now if you're happy here or somewhat happy here, stay here. If you would like to challenge yourself, you can take your big toe in your left hand and straighten that right leg all the way out across our body, still holding the left one with our right hand. This is called cat chasing its tail. Do 2 more breaths here. Good, and then we'll just release our feet, our legs will unwind. We'll come back into our little egg. Both legs come up to the sky, and we'll start over on the other side. So we'll hold on to that shin of the left leg, hugging the knee tight into our body. Right leg comes out long, it's stretching out as it's on the ground. This one's one of my favorites. It's called wind releasing pose. Good. And then we'll release and guide that left knee across the body into the twist. We'll stay here for about 5 breaths. Good. And now let's bend that right leg. Try and find it with our left hand. Letting the left shoulder come down to the mat. And again, if you're happy here, stay here. If you would like, you can extend that left leg out long. Do 2 more big breaths here. Good, and now let's release those feet. We'll unwind, bring our knees into our chest, roll up into our little ball. One more big inhale here. And then exhale, let's just release down into a Shavasana. Find a posture that feels the best where you can stay nice and still for a few minutes of relaxation. We inhale and exhale. We breathe in, we breathe out. We allow our bodies this time to just be still. And as we are all in our own little spaces, if you need some more time in Shavasana, please, I encourage you to take that time. If we are ready, we deepen our breath. We slowly wiggle our fingers and our toes, bringing awareness back into our bodies. Move our head from side to side. And we listen to our bodies and give it what it needs right now. A little wiggle or a twist, a stretch, yawn. And when it's time, we'll bring those knees into our chest. We'll roll over onto our side. We'll help ourselves up to a comfortable seated position. Keeping those eyes closed, let's check in with how we're feeling right now. And then inhaling, let's lift those hands up to the sky, bringing them together at the top, and exhaling them down to our hearts with gratitude, giving thanks to us for the gifts that we just gave ourselves. I thank you so much for allowing me to help you through your practice, for letting me share my practice with you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Make sure that if in doubt, we err on the side of kindness in this crazy, crazy world. The light and the divine in me recognizes and respects the light and the divine in each of you. And when we are together, whether virtually or physically, we are one. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. How are we feeling?
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks so much. It's good to see you, Dave. Where's the lovely wife today?
She's slacking.
Oh.
I think she got talked into